Welcome to your latest transfer news roundup, and today we're going to start things off with Newcastle because reports in Italy say they're leading the race to sign Christopher Nkunku. So we know Christopher Nkunku is up for sale. Ruben Amorim's decided that he doesn't want Nkunku in his squad, and AC Milan are reportedly looking for around £30 million to sell him. Newcastle have held talks with Nkunku's, like his entourage, his agents, about a potential deal. So it is an area they're interested in, Newcastle. This one I wouldn't say is massively an advanced stage yet, like this report suggests, because there is still at least 3 other clubs in the race for him, one of them being Leipzig, which is obviously his former club. There's obviously a lot of talk in Germany at the minute saying that Leipzig were actually leading the race to sign him, so that would be one to look out for. Porto have also shown interest, and Aston Villa are also showing interest as well. So yeah, I wouldn't say Newcastle are fully leading the race to signing Nkunku, but they are definitely showing interest there. Do I think it's a good signing for Newcastle? I'm not sure. Nkunku's got Premier League experience with Chelsea, of course. I wouldn't say the past 2 years he's been in the best form though, and he's 28 now. Would Newcastle want to go and spend over £30 million on 28-year-old striker like Nkunku? I don't know. And also the issue you've got with Nkunku is that he's not really a striker, he's not really a midfielder, he's kind of one of them half-space attackers. So you've kind of got to try and find a place for him in the team, which Newcastle could do. I know their manager's obviously got German connections, so he might like Nkunku. So, I think it could turn out to be a good signing, but I'm not sure on this one. It kind of gives me Johan Wissa, Voltemada vibes, to be totally honest. So, yeah, I'm not sure on this one, but at the moment, I wouldn't say this one's advanced, but I would say it could potentially happen. Next up, we're going to talk about Man United and what they're up to. And we know they are massively looking for left backs. So, as I keep saying, the number one target is Lewis Hall. At the moment, that deal is looking pretty complicated for him, though, because Newcastle are pretty much just giving the stance that he's not for sale, which I know they've done that with Bruno Fernandes, and they even done it with Anthony Gordon as well, and that eventually happened. So, I wouldn't rule out Lewis Hall moving to Man United, but he's going to cost a lot of money, and I think that's obviously something Man United are looking at. So there's been a lot of talk recently about other left-back targets, and yesterday a big report came out that they are exploring a £20 million deal for RB Leipzig left-back David Raum. He has been linked with Man United for quite a while, and he's only got 1 year left on his contract now, so I think Man United, there certainly is interest there. They're definitely showing interest. I think they probably are exploring the feasibility of a deal for someone like Raum. He's a very experienced left back. He's German international, played at the World Cup. So I personally think that would be a pretty smart signing for now for Man United. To get someone in to, compete with Luke Shaw would be pretty handy. So yeah, David Raum is one to look out for. Also, Club Brugge left back Watkins says he is another one. He's a young left back, but Club Brugge have come out and said that he's not for sale by any circumstances. He's not for sale, even if Man United put in a club record fee worth more than Christos Jolis, who's joined Arsenal. Bruges are still not going to sell him, so that one's looking like a bit of a harder one as well for Man United, but I would say, keep an eye on him. And then another one to look out for is 19-year-old left-back Salinas, who plays for Racing Club in Spain. He's got a €16 million release clause. Man United have been tracking him for quite a while. He's obviously a much younger option, but he's definitely a player Man United like. Whether or not he's going to come in and be straight competition for Luke Shaw, I'm not sure. But he's obviously very highly rated, so he is definitely another option to look out for Man United. Whilst we're on Man United, I think I've got to touch on Bruno Fernandes. So a massive report came out yesterday that Galatasaray are willing to double his wages at Man United to try and sign him. Now, a lot of the talk is saying that Man United have now offered him a new contract. Some reports today have basically come out and said that Bruno has rejected the contract from Man United, but he still does want to stay. So his plan is to still stay this season. He hasn't got any plans to move to Galatasaray anytime soon, but he's basically rejected a contract because he kind of wants to leave as a free agent at the end of the season. So kind of makes sense. So yeah, Galatasaray, it's reported they're willing to put in a bid worth around €50 million to sign him. They're willing to double his wages. That is all legit. That's not just rumours. That is, Galatasaray genuinely are there for a big signing. They've been in talks with Rafael. They've been in talks with other players, Dusan Blajovic, who's now joined Besiktas. So they want a big signing. Obviously, Mo Salah as well. Bruno Fernandes is definitely on their list. I do think Bruno Fernandes will be staying at Man United this summer. I don't think Man United will allow a transfer to happen, especially now for like such a player like Bruno. For them, he's their main man. So I can't see him leaving this summer. But next summer, definitely look out for that one. We've got to touch on Villa. So Villa, I mean, this transfer window has just been all over the place for Villa. So many core players look like they're leaving that squad. You've got the whole, just all the profit and sustainability rules around them. It's a bit of a nightmare at Villa, to be totally honest. And another rumour now coming out is that Ollie Watkins could be off to the Saudi League. So Al-Hilal, this all stems around them. Al-Hilal, it's reported they're actually looking to potentially release Karim Benzema. We saw them do this with Darwin Núñez. They released him to basically bring in Benzema. There's talk they're willing to release Karim Benzema to bring in potentially 2 new attackers. So they're also looking to get rid of Malcolm as well, former Barcelona winger who plays Al-Hilal now as well. They're looking to basically sell him off to Algeria, which would allow them to bring in Pedro Neto, who is in talks with Al-Hilal. So that is one of their main targets they want, is Pedro Neto. And then they also want another striker or a new striker. And it's reported their number one target at the minute is Ollie Watkins. So the reports say that Ollie Watkins has agreed personal terms with Al-Hilal. He's actually happy with the move. He's willing to move on. But Villa are not happy with this. They want to keep Ollie Watkins for at least one more season. Apparently Unai Emery sees him as a very, very valuable player to the squad. He was also back in training yesterday, so I think that's quite a big sign he could be staying. So Villa are very keen to keep him. But I would say, look out for this one, because obviously we know Villa are still in talks with Nicholas Jackson. Nicholas Jackson is a player they like. They've been in talks with him a lot. Unai Emery is a big fan of Nicholas Jackson. For me, I think Nicholas Jackson's a pretty like-for-like replacement for Ollie Watkins, personally. They've obviously got Tammy Abraham as well, who they signed in January. So, if Ollie Watkins left and they got Nicholas Jackson in, I wouldn't say it's bad business. But obviously, Ollie Watkins, he knows the club well. He's a very experienced player now. It would be a big miss for them, especially for their style of play. But I think Nicholas Jackson could be a good replacement. But at the minute, all the signs say that Ollie Watkins will be staying at Villa. There's no chance he's going to leave. But, with the Saudi League, stuff like this can happen out of anywhere, really, can't it? We saw it with Reinders. That came out of nowhere. So I wouldn't fully rule this one out, but I would say at the minute it's looking slightly unlikely. Also with Villa, Emi Martinez. So this is another one. Like Emi Martinez every summer has basically tried to leave Aston Villa. He just can't get away, because it's now reported his talks with Juventus have collapsed. Well, they have collapsed. So he was in talks to join Juventus. Talks are broken down, and Juventus are now going to go and sign Vicario from Spurs instead. So Emi Martinez is back at Villa again. But Villa are still pushing through a deal to sign Parma goalkeeper Zion Suzuki, the Japanese goalkeeper who played at the World Cup, who had a very impressive World Cup. They're pushing for a deal worth around £29.9 million to sign him. So it looks like Villa are going to get themselves a new goalkeeper, which really sort of leaves, what is going to happen with Emi Martinez, because he's going to be there. I'm guessing he's probably not going to be back up to Suzuki. Well, he won't be happy with that, I shouldn't think. So yeah, I think Villa are going to be scrambling now to really try and find another club for Emi Martinez. There has been links with Chelsea. My latest news says that Chelsea are happy with their 3 goalkeepers they've got at the minute. So Chelsea very much see Robert Sanchez, Mike Penders and Teddy Sharman-Lowe as their 3 goalkeepers this season, and they're very happy with those 3. There was obviously links with them and Diogo Costa at Porto, which was ruled out immediately because Chelsea said they're happy with their goalkeepers. I think that's still going to be the same. I don't think Chelsea are going to go out their way to go and sign Emi Martinez because, like I said, they're happy with their 3 goalkeepers. So I think it's going to be very much up to Villa now trying to find Emi Martinez another club. I mean, you've always got the Saudi League, you've got the Turkish leagues there. So, I think Emi Martinez probably will move on from Villa. I'll be very surprised if he does stay, especially with Suzuki joining, if it does happen, unless it suddenly collapses, which it could. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens with Emi Martinez now. But yeah, it looks like Suzuki will be joining Aston Villa. Heading over to Everton, and we've got to talk about Richarlison. There's been a lot of talk that Everton have basically submitted a bid for Richarlison. What I've been told is that there hasn't actually been an official bid just yet. So Everton have been in talks with Richarlison's camp, so his agents and entourage, about the feasibility of a deal. At the moment, as far as I'm aware, there's been no direct club-to-club talks between them and Spurs, so there hasn't been a bid submitted at the moment. But Everton are certainly showing interest in potentially re-signing Richarlison. It's reported that Spurs are probably looking around £40 million for him. So I think that could be a big stumbling block for Everton, because it's reported they're looking for around £20 million. So they only really want to sign him for like 20 mil, if that. Whereas Spurs are looking for double that. So that could be a big issue. But as far as I'm aware, Richarlison would be very keen to move back to Everton. Everton would be keen for that deal to happen. But I do think there could be a big stumbling block between the two clubs there. And also, this does very much rely on Spurs getting themselves potentially another 2 strikers in as well. We know they're linked with Omar Mamouche. We know there's been some links with Florian Balogun as well. And then they're obviously still working on deals for Savinho and Cody Gakpo. So yeah, it's going to very much rely on Spurs getting their business done before they allow Richarlison to leave, because at the moment it looks like Richarlison's going to be their starting striker for the first game of the season at the moment. So they're not going to let him leave anytime soon. But Everton are showing interest. And then obviously another striker target is still Liam Delap. There's still a lot of talk there. We know Liam Delap has turned down a move to Como earlier in the week because he wants to stay in the Premier League. Nottingham Forest and Everton are the 2 clubs who are definitely showing interest in him at the moment. And then another striker name that came up recently as well is Zian Fleming at Burnley. So he scored twice on the weekend, very impressive performance. He has been a player that Everton have been looking at for quite a while, and I don't know if this performance on the weekend for Burnley against West Ham is going to sort of change their mind to really push for him now. But he has been a player of interest. There's not been any talk yet of Everton opening talks to sign him, but yeah, I think Fleming at Burnley could be one to look out for, but even for other clubs in the Premier League as well, because there is certainly a lot of other interest in him as well. But Everton are one of the clubs who are definitely showing interest in him. And that is all for today's transfer news roundup. If you enjoyed the episode, then please give it a like. If you like this, then please subscribe to my channel as well. I've got loads more news, transfer news, football videos coming up. So yeah, if you like this, then please subscribe, because it really helps me out. We unlocked a new background today. The old background might be back next time, but we'll see. But yeah, thanks for watching, guys, and see you next time. Goodbye.